Welcome to Film Summary. Today I will recap a horror movie, The Inhuman Kiss. Four children named Sai, Noi, Jared and Ted are shown at the beginning of the film. They're all four kids, and they're going to the forest. They come to a halt in the forest at a house. There was a popular news about the house as it was enchanted by the soul. And it kills that person who visits here at night. Hearing it, Jared makes fun of it. Then these kids play a game of hide and seek. Then Sai and Noi hide themselves in the same house. Sai notices a box in that house. Peeping inside it, she finds nothing. However, we notice a shadow of a head on Sai's backside. After many years, the same girl Sai is shown again who has grown up. Sai is sleeping on his bed at that time. Waking up, she sees the bloodstained bed. And she begins to clean it. Sai is dermatologist by profession. She is moving to hospital. Then she meets his beloved Jared. Chasing her, he reaches in her hospital. Jared expresses his love and tries to inspire her. He asks Sai to come with him because there is no one in the hospital at that time. Meanwhile, a lady reaches there with her wounded child. Sai treats him immediately. That lady informs Sai that her neighbor's hens have been victimized by Krasu. And that lady's husband tells Sai and Jared that some villagers had caught the sight of Krasu. Krasu is a ghost spirit which appears in nights and victimizes the night wanderers and animals. That lady suggests them to close their doors plus windows in order to protect from Krasu. Sai tells Jared that she misses Noi as they leave. And Noi is the same kid who had visited in that house with Sai at that night. Sai tells that she even does not know, where is he? What will he do? When Sai is dining with her grandparents at night, she comes to know that her father is going to guard from Krasu tonight. Coming there, Sai's friend talks about Jared and her marriage with him. But Sai ignores such conversation. When Sai is taking rest at night, she dreams of the forest house in Krasu. Waking up in the morning, she again finds the bloodstained bed. And it was more than ever before. All windows were opened, and Sai had wounded body. Sai is get worried thinking it. At the leaving time of hospital, Sai asks Jared to come with her in that forest house. They meet their childhood friend Noi when they are moving to that house. There is also a crowd with Noi who are the hunters of Krasu who frighten the villagers telling Krasu stories. They tell as Krasu firstly victimizes the hens. When the hens are come to end, then they proceed to victimize the cows, buffaloes and goats. And after them, they hunt human beings to quench their hunger. The chief of Krasu hunters has brought the head of dead Krasu with him. He informs villagers that the water is also spelled in which Krasu spits. And any girl is transformed into Krasu if she drinks it. And in case of boy, his whole body has begun to ache. This severe pain takes his life. Hearing his story, villagers allow him to stay in village in terrible fear. And Sai arranges everything in hospital for Noi's stay. While Jared and his friend provide Noi some secondary needs as clothes. On the other side, Sai was feeling awkward. And she says to Jared that she wants to go alone. Saying it, she walks alone. Waking up in the next morning, she again discovers the bloodstained bed and also vomits blood. And Sai knows that someone has eaten the buffalo putting it in. It was obvious, everyone's suspicion was on Krasu. Then Noi tells Sai, Jared has also become the member of those hunter group. He explains to Jared, they are wicked. Don't attach with them, but Jared does not value Noi's words. And he says, I have attached with this group for the protection of the villagers. Jared visits Sai before going with the Krasu's hunters at night. He asks her to shut the doors and windows. Saying it, he leaves from there. Then Sai begins to feel awkward and severe pain. At first sight, Sai is transformed into Krasu. Here a fact comes on the surface that Sai was actually Krasu. Her every night dream was not just a dream but based on the reality. The son of Sai's friend was disappeared at the same while. And she moves to those Krasu hunters. And then Krasu who is Sai is seen flying in the air. And hunters starts firing on her. And then Jared brings that lady's son back. Krasu Sai is observed by Noi when she is returning back. Chasing her, Noi notices that she has entered in the room of Sai. Peeping through window, He is left astonished knowing that Sai is in fact Krasu. He is afraid. When Sai reaches at hospital next morning, she is saddened not finding Noi there. Noi had known the reality of Sai. As a result, he has galloped in fear. Sai is in need of assistance right now. Her friend, on the other hand, abandons her. Noi has fallen asleep in terror while walking into a shrine. He asks from monk about Krasu. He says that this ghost is living with human beings for a long time, but it is harmless. And these ghosts are not others, but human beings who use black magic to cast spells. And their false way of enchantment have turned them into ghosts. As a result, girls are transformed into Krasu, while boys take the form of crane. Noi tells him that my closest is Krasu. Monk replies on it, don't take any emotional decision, you should decide by heart. Noi brings many dead hens for Sai when she is transformed into Krasu at night. Eating those hens, she does not move outside. Reaching at hospital next morning, Sai finds Noi there. She is pleased seeing him. After that, Noi used to bring many hens for Sai every night. So she does not feel need to go outside. Further, villagers are surprised because they have not seen Kraus even after a month. Gerd is still with those hunters. While Noi is searching its remedy, putting his efforts. Monk tells Noi about a plant named Krasu herb. Eating it, a Krasu begins to turn into a normal being. Sai is treating a child in the hospital. Coming there, Noi offers juice to Sai. Taking it, she puts it aside. That child girl takes the leftover juice of Sai. Taking her leftover juice, that child girl is also spelled. She has also turned into Krasu. Observing the transformation of child girl, her parents got upset. And they call the Krasu hunter. The chief of the Krasu hunters lures her of a dead lizard while calling. When that child girl is entrapped, they put her into death and take her heart out. Ted asks from parents, when has she transformed into Krasu? They say on it, she turned into Krasu when came from hospital. Now Ted suspects Sai as she is Krasu. And she is the cause of that child girl transformation into Krasu. Thinking on it, Sai is very upset as child girl has lost her life because of her. And she does not want to become the victim of these Krasu hunters like that child girl. And Noi remains with Sai even at this moment, and Sai requests him to go in forest with her. Because Sai used to dream of that house every night. And Sai thought as the solution of this problem exists there. Ted notices Noi and Sai going there because he had kept an eye on Sai. Sai and Noi reach beside that house in that forest. And Sai gets the Krasu herb. Eating that herb, Sai feels comfort. Both are pleased because Sai will be released from that spell eating this herb. And she will be protected from hunting anything. Meanwhile, Krasu hunters and Gerd also arrive there. When Gerd observes their closeness, he starts beating Noi, losing his temperament. On the other side, Sai escapes taking that herb. She is chased by all hunters. Sai reaches in that house and comes near that box, stepping in. A flashback is revealed in her mind. As when they were playing hide and seek in their childhood, Sai was enchanted by that Krasu when she had hidden herself here. She also gets the knowledge of the catastrophe of Krasu. And Sai's memories is revived there. All hunters step into the house to end Sai. Sai is outraged seeing them. And she is turned into Krasu. She attacks on them one by one and finishes their 2 members. Hearing the gunfires, Gerd enters the house. He notices that Ted is nearly to shoot Sai. Gerd moves ahead to stop Ted. But Ted attacks on Gerd, getting angry. Gerd is badly wounded and loses his consciousness. A terrible storm is burst out because of the presence of Krasu. After a calmness, Noi takes Sai from there. Villagers come to know next day that many Krasu hunter members have been killed. And they have been killed by Krasu, not by anyone else. Villagers' bodies are also there among those dead people. Seeing them, villagers are outburst with anger. And then Ted reaches there, taking wounded Gerd. Ted informs his parents that Krasu is responsible of his condition. When they reach in the forest chasing Krasu, then Krasu had killed 2 of their members. He also reveals this fact here as Sai is in fact Krasu. Hearing it, all villagers decide to kill Sai in the rude tone. And they run from there in anger. Noi becomes evident of their conversation and runs to Sai so that he may protect her, telling the whole story. Sai is feeling pain and also searches those herbs. Noi also feels the same pain because of their closeness. At last, he is also enchanted. Sai's father forbids villagers and hunters of doing so. In return, they say that they will burn Sai's house and also puts her into death. At the same while, Sai's father calls Sai outside the house. Eating that herb, Sai is not transformed into Krasu, so comes outside. Ted is left astonished seeing her normal state. He blames Sai for villagers' death and it being Krasu. On the contrary, Sai blames Ted and his companions. She reveals as they had kidnapped her last night and tried to wrong with me. She says Jared has saved me from their clutches. So Ted has to escape from there. Reaching in his house, Jared sees that Ted is hidden there. Ted attacks on him, biting. After being bitten, Jared is also spelled and transformed into Crane. As boys are transformed into Crane while girls are Krasu after it. Ted himself was Crane, so he used to take the heart out of everyone after killing. There is a tangled story behind this happening. Crane is actually a devil whose wife is Krasu. Once she is fallen in love with a human being. Krasu is escaping with the human being, but Crane puts them into death catching. He takes the heart out of Krasu. So there is burning fire of revenge in the heart of Crane from that day. Now Sai does not transform into Krasu because she continues to eat that herb every night. While Noi tries to get its remedy. Jared's condition was worsened. And his parents are worried seeing him. Ted burns all those plants, eliminating the remedy of Sai's normal state. 2 herbs were left, so they have no other solution. And Noi also fails to find its medication. Getting rid from such situation, Noi offers Sai to leave to Hong Kong with him. Sai moves to Jared's house, but she is sad in finding him in such condition. Jared tells her that I know, you are Krasu. I knew it at that time when you forbade me to come with you. And I have seen you eating buffalo. It was the cause behind joining the hunters group. So that he may protect Sai from villagers. Jared insists Sai to stay with him. When Noi is waiting for Sai after a complete preparation of escape. Then Sai is also ready to depart. Then Sai's father arrives there. He takes her at the place where villagers are present. He takes Sai there for her and villagers' safety, and also preventing her from the label of Krasu. On the other side, Ted provokes Jared saying that Sai is escaping with Noi and deceiving you. He continuously provokes Jared. He is outraged and transforms into Crane. Sai's pain is also started. The most problematic thing was this, she had no any urd now. Suddenly, she is transformed into Krasu in front of everyone. Villagers are frightened and start firing on her. Sai appears to take off in the direction of the forest. While attacking, they decide to burn Sai's body to get rid of Krasu. Further, Sai's father attempts hard to stop them of doing it. Meanwhile, Ted and Jared, who are formed into Crane, also arrive there. Jared catches Krasu. Noi reminds him the reality of Sai, who is now Krasu. So he may not harm her. Then Ted attacks on Sai with the aim to finish her. Jared fights with Ted for rescuing Sai. On the other side, villagers leave Sai's body wounded badly while beating. There is a great fight between Ted and Jared. At last Ted takes Jared's heart out, tearing him. Sai's father and Noi keep away the villagers from Sai's body. Monks arrive there as Ted is nearly to end Sai. They put Ted into death, making him target. Monk asks Noi to reach at the bank of river with Sai's body. He does the same as he reaches at the bank of river, taking Sai's body. Then Jared's parents and some villagers pursue them. Reaching at the bank of river, Noi places Sai's body in the boat. At the same time, he is also saying to Sai that everything will be alright. We will lead to Bangkok where you will be recovered after treatment. As can be seen, Sai's body was severely injured, making it difficult for her soul to enter her body. Seeing the passionate love and faith of Noi, Krasu, which is actually a ghost spirit, starts shedding tears. It cuts the anchor rope of boat so that they may reach in Bangkok. On the other side, Noi is continuously crying because it is the time of separation of both. Meanwhile, Jared's father fires a bullet at Sai. Noi, Sai's great beloved, witnesses Sai's death before his eyes and loses her forever. The film concludes with an unhappy ending. Thanks for watching.